Hello, my dear folks, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow on the East West with G&E TV. Today with me is my good friend, Mr. Ken Hamming, my favorite brother, my philosopher kind of a friend, trustworthy, of course, who I argue all the time with, but I love him to the exact extent that I argue with him.
That's
right?
true.
The more I argue with him, the more I like him, and the friendship remains, right? Today, probably we will not argue because we found a subject that both him and I, we like so much. That is Donald Trump's UN speech.
Yes, sir.
For 45 minutes, you heard applause after applause with a standing ovation and all those kind of jubilant air that he kind of stirred up, right? And well, I have the whole script here, and I have the Chinese version translated already here.
Oh, good.
So we can do both.
Good, I love
right?
it.
Either.
I love
you
it.
speak Chinese anyway, right?
I'll do anything I
Very
can.
good. Okay. So to Ken, welcome to the show, my friend once again.
This is my security blanket, your studio and your viewers, Jack.
Thank you very much. And also, I really appreciate your love to the studio job, to my audiences, and the expression of your ideas, everything is respected so highly.
It's my honor to be here.
Very good.
My honor.
So for the 40 overall, right? For the 45 something minutes of speech to everybody, that was a eye opener.
It was.
What's your general impression, please?
Well, President Trump did not give a political speech. He gave a speech of the truth. And they really haven't had a president of the United States talk so straight and true probably ever to the United Nations. In the United Nations, myself, I think it's pretty much often a failed organization, okay? And we provide 22% of the money and get almost nothing back, okay? So, so he went in there and basically there's a movement there that we have started. There's 193 countries in the United Nations, 128 have signed on to support a reform of the United Nations. For example, there was really no emphasis on terror before, and it was ignored. And so now it's going to be one of the prime focuses. So he basically talked the truth about kind of have four elements of his speech. One was sovereignty, the sacred state of each individual nation must be respected. Security, that of course is related to terror, that we must protect our own. Prosperity, that kind of involves capitalism as opposed to socialism, and then peace. And the problem with achieving peace is some people on planet Earth are not very peaceful people. So it's hard, but it's a good goal, and it's attainable, possibly. So the whole speech was, they listened, there was standing room only there, people wanted to hear what he said, and I think he delivered it very well. I've read it at least 10 times, every syllable I happen to appreciate and honored that he's, and kind of the theme here, he starts it out that we the people.
Yes.
Okay. And see, this
We
is the
the
first,
people.
Yeah, because
That's exactly the title of the show today.
right. And the elite Democrats and the elite Republicans, I think, have forgotten that they work for the people. They're not supposed to govern to the people. They're supposed to work for the people. President Trump, I believe, totally is working for the American citizens in putting America first. And it's refreshing.
Exactly, Ken. I really agree with you for your statement. Because we the people, those three words are the problem that have been bothering me for quite some long time. Right? It looks to me that we all forgotten that our government is working for we the people.
And they've forgotten it.
Us the people.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Now, we the people, do we the people still worth anything? Right? So they seem to be forgotten who they work for.
Well, that's right.
Yes.
Greed and power
Yes.
is one of the common goals of Democrats and Republicans
and
elitists.
And the second, the word representation.
Yes.
Representation comes if you go to a region, you will find out it is the one that decided to represent the one who made him represent or her.
Yes.
Right? So it's not to be governed. It's exactly the contrary of being governed.
To serve, exactly the contrary, Jack.
Right?
Thank you.
And those are the confusion areas that I have. I'm so glad President Donald Trump made it so clear that his only goal is to serve we the people.
Yes.
Right?
That's really
We the
refreshing.
people is the slogan, is the target, is the purpose, is the everything. So that is made so clear.
You know, and when I was driving here today, I'm thinking about, we have a shrinking middle class. It has been shrinking. The middle class is what's made America great, okay? Not too many poor, not too many mega rich, but the middle class was, you know, maybe
You're right.
70%,
You're right. Yeah,
60%.
right.
And now it's been shrinking. If you have a shrinking middle class, you're on a highway to trouble. So, because people lose their confidence, they lose their faith, they lose their hope.
Exactly.
And the mentality and attitude of the average citizens is what either will make us or break us.
Exactly. Somebody tried to picture the society with the football,
Yeah, okay.
right? In the shape of football.
Yeah.
Right. You have the both ends.
Yeah.
Right. And you have the size of the body,
Right.
the width of the body.
That's exactly
It
right.
is the width of the body of the football that's been shrinking like an olive.
Exactly.
That's been shrinking, which is so dangerous because when you're talking about football, you have this very top end, you have the very bottom end.
Well,
right?
and one's the rich side, one's the poor
Yes,
side.
yes.
The middle's the
And
country.
then no matter how you expand the middle, how you shrink the middle, those tips remain the tips,
That's right.
right?
That's
Okay,
right.
now, with the tips remaining the same thing, you're shrinking the middle.
Well, it pushes the tips out farther. And
Yeah,
and it makes-
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So that's very dangerous. That's
Very
very dangerous. So I'm so glad that Donald Trump had pointed out that we the people is the core, is the core issue. That's the one we're talking about. And from there on, he says, as a government, of course, each government has its own way of working for the people,
That's right.
right?
Yes, and he supports each president or whatever of
Yeah.
each country to put their country first.
And
just
then
as he
there comes
does.
the word sovereignty.
Right.
Right?
Huge.
We respect your way of
Yeah.
you working for your people.
Yeah.
And of course, my way of working for our people is, well, hopefully, he says, an example or a role model
Right.
for people to look at. You want to copy.
Well, in one of the ways America displayed this respect for sovereignty was in the Marshall Plan after World War II of rebuilding Germany and Japan that killed millions of people. But we didn't go in and we had to punish them to end the war. But afterwards, well, okay, we're friends again. Let's get it on. Let's feel our remorse for what happened. And we rebuilt those nations to, holy cow, they're just like us.
Yeah, he did mention
No
about.
one does that.
He did mention about backing off from Marshall Plan, and
Well,
yes,
But the Marshall Plan was a positive thing. I mean, we're not nation builders
we did
now.
back off. We did back off, but yes, we
Yeah.
did help the nations, Europe, doing
Huge.
the same thing.
Rebuild Europe, and look what's happening. Europe's falling apart now, but that's just a problem of refugees. So but yes, it was great. So he wants everybody to represent their own people to their best interest, and he wants trade policies to be fair to both sides. Yeah.
For that paragraph, or for that 8 or 10 minutes, what quote do you want to apply for the we the people subject?
Well, what President Trump did, he emphasized the positive things that are happening to we the people in America, okay? You know, we're down a couple million in food stamps, the stock market's going crazy, and unemployment's 4.3%. So these are positive things. On the other side, he recognizes the realism of the troubles that are in the world and also in our own country to be challenging, okay? And terrorism, of course, is one of them. So he balanced this with positive recognition of good things happening on planet Earth and the realism that there are great challenges that could be very harmful to our world. But like important here, that we do expect all nations to uphold the two core sovereign duties: to respect the interests of their own people and the rights of every other sovereign nation. That's very, very big. And then he said, we meet at a time of both immense promise, this is the positive side, and great peril. It's entirely up to us whether we lift the world to new heights or let it fall into a valley of despair. And if the United Nations members do not embrace each other with a commitment for those four elements: peace, prosperity, etc., security, you know, if we work apart, the world will lose. If we work together, you know, America's going to win to its own extent possible. But with the challenges, President Trump never loses focus. Nobody's been attacked and demeaned more than President Trump that I can think of.
And also, by the way, I
And
go
he's
by
tough.
majority. Oh, I go by majority. I check about the comments. I check my WeChat. I check my Facebook and Twitter, stuff like that. And I found out the response of that speech is about 90-95% positive.
It was very positive.
Amongst my friend.
Right.
And of course, you're talking about extreme right, extreme left.
Right.
You're talking about Democrats. You're talking about Republicans. You're talking all kinds of friends from different political stand.
Right.
They gave
Decent.
90 to 95 positive scoring on this speech.
And I think you referenced,
Which is good.
He received some nice rounds of applause in support. There were some quiet moments, of course, from some of the people that, you know, that don't really want to.
Well, they're not
for
majority
everybody to
anyway.
prosper,
They're
but
not
they're
majority,
not a majority,
anyway.
no.
Yeah.
And
A chef cannot make everybody smile.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's right.
the thing is
Perfect
that
statement.
yeah, sure.
I like that.
And the thing is that when he emphasized on we the people, nobody can go challenge.
You can't.
Right. If you think you belong to the people.
See, I believe President Trump actually believes and is passionate about representing the people that love him just the same as representing the people that hate him. He wants the people that hate him, he wants to improve their lives also, and then maybe they'll be a little friendlier,
And
but
also
they'll be happier.
and also his tones.
Oh yes,
His tones are very subtle.
It has.
And
It's softened.
very soft,
Yeah.
very down to earth, call it that way.
And also for a man that's been a businessman, not a politician, politicians, they practice speeches from the time they're born or something because they're going to be a politician. But Trump's a businessman. He hasn't had to give these speeches in front of all kinds. And, you know, he's done a real good job.
I like it.
It's not easy.
I like it.
And also,
All right.
I'll tell you, like, you know, now that, you know, when he uses a teleprompter, you know, you've done it, you're a media guy. They're hard to read and follow, and you better have good eyes. And if you lose where you are on a teleprompter, you're in
of
trouble.
course. To me, I know exactly
I'm
the difference.
scared.
To me, I know exactly the difference between reading prompter and to say what you have in mind.
Right, right. See,
It's
I
totally
can
different
successfully say what I have in mind, but I'm not a teleprompter boy.
Yeah,
okay?
you look at teleprompter, you know you're reading.
Yeah.
And it's totally different from that fact that you are saying what you have from here.
And you know, you need 20/20 vision to read
Very
those
good.
teleprompters too.
All right, good. My dear friends, today with my good friend Ken Hemming, we're sharing the speech made by Donald Trump, our President Donald Trump, at the UN conference. And it was a good one, and a very good one. I found myself in support with. So stay with us. When we come back, we're talking about, from there on, we're talking about his criticism or comment, maybe not necessarily criticism, but comment of UN and UN functions.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello, dear friends, lovely audience, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on East West with G&E TV. With me today, my good friend Ken Hemming, a political commentator, a writer, a philosopher, a trustworthy friend for life, sharing his view of Donald Trump's speech made at a UN conference. We named the show exactly a quote from him and also a quote from the Constitution, "We the people."
And the people govern, not the government.
That's
our theory.
So people's government.
Does it always work? Yes,
Right,
the
okay,
people's government.
People's government. All right, very good. Now, there is a big part when he talks about UN, the status quo of UN,
Right.
be it criticism or be it a comment, the UN, to his eye, is not functioning in its right way. So, about that part or that section, what's your comment? How do you feel, please?
Well, there's times in my life where I've wanted the United Nations to get out of our country, stick them back in Europe or something like that. Because, like, for example, the biggest example of incredibility that I could come up with is the Human Rights Council of the United Nations has as members on the committee some of the most heinous human rights violators on planet Earth, and it's insanity. And also, there's been such negativity toward Israel throughout the United Nations, which is just insane, okay? And so President Trump's trying to balance that out a bit. But I mean, a lot of their committees are just a farce, okay? And they just keep expecting that America will just keep throwing money at it. But a businessman's not going to throw money and waste the money of his people, which is us, we the people. So if the reform movement does progress, and like I said, 128 of 193 countries have signed on to be a part of it, trying to get more every day, then there's hope that the United Nations can be run with a little more equanimity among its members for the benefit of all.
It is one issue in terms of a human right. It is totally another issue in terms of a disaster, natural disaster.
Okay,
right?
That's right.
A natural disaster relief. What's your comment about a natural disaster relief?
Well, the world can't look at the United States to just provide the money and resources to cure all natural disasters. Everybody's got to contribute, that can contribute, okay? And we do a lot. I mean, like Puerto Rico, which is one of their citizens in Puerto Rico, that puppy was wiped out, okay? Really bad. The whole 3.5 million people there had no power. Just think about it. Just think about no power, okay? So they have the very basic necessities of life not being provided right now. But also then many relief groups are going in, and you know you can make things better pretty fast when there's that commitment. And so President Trump on the natural disasters within our own borders, Harvey and Irma, is doing a wonderful job. Now internationally, you know, we can't do everything without everybody participating.
I know that we have spent quite a lot of money in handling international natural disasters, right? At Haiti or Southeast
even earthquakes
Asia,
in China, we have
earthquake in China,
yeah, absolutely,
the tsunami thing, so on and so forth,
yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, now it is that dollars that earns us the reputation, right? Do you take that as a plus or minus?
Well,
because on the other hand, it is our taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
It is the money of us, we people, the people.
I believe the heart of Americans is very generous and very caring and willing to reach out and do what we can. But we also must look at our country like your own personal financial situation, mine. I've got to control myself not to spend more that I can't afford. And so we have to balance our kindness and generosity with our ability to maintain our financial strength.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I agree. The whole speech of Donald Trump is that you got to think of America first.
Yes.
When you have
each
surplus,
other country too.
when you have surplus, right? You want to do something.
That's right.
Internationally,
Right.
to look better.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
You don't want
to
to
make
take
yourself feel
you don't want
proud.
to take the food out of your people
Right.
to aid somebody else who needs food
Right.
and make them hungry.
Right.
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 So lots of people, lots of other nations do that. Lots of other nations do that.
Well,
okay?
some, yeah.
And years ago when I was in China, when I was young, and it was the time that we kind of like tightened our belt. One more buckle hole to aid other countries,
Okay.
such as Vietnam,
Okay.
right? So on and so forth. Okay, I'm not today giving comment on that part.
Right.
I'm talking about United States.
Yeah.
And according to Donald Trump, his philosophy is that you want to make sure we the people, us, right? We the people got food to go sufficient.
Right. And
then
give value for our generosity.
And
Give
then
value.
you have surplus,
Right.
you do it.
You can share it.
And for the rest of the nations, they kind of not doing their own, sit there and wait for the United States. Let's see what United States can do.
Yeah, and then they complain.
They complain.
They complain about our generosity is not enough.
About United States doing too little. Okay, now he seems. I mean, the speech for himself, he seems to overturn the concept. You guys need to do your own job.
Right. He's calling them to task.
We'll do ourselves.
Right.
Right.
He's calling them to task.
Yeah. So
you guys got to man up like we have done.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So that is a really something new that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Because it is all from the campaign concept of putting U.S. first.
Absolutely.
Of putting the United States first.
And it's about time. It's not self-centered. It's not egotistical. It's not self-enduring. It's we've got to take it. We've got 20 trillion in debt. This is insane. Just 8 years ago, we had 9 trillion in debt. Our country under President Obama just spent money like drunken sailors. That's a lot of money. $1 trillion is a lot. And you add 10 trillion to the debt in 8 years. It's incomprehensible. How did we let it happen? Well, our Congress let it happen, including the Republicans.
Of course. And today is not a subject.
No.
We're not talking about that.
But fiscal responsibility.
Even for that, we are talking about management.
Yeah, well, it's part of prosperity.
Management.
Right.
Okay, now, today with me is my good friend, Ken Hamming. Every time when I'm with him, time goes so fast, right?
It does. I can't believe it.
I don't realize time goes that fast. We're talking about our President Donald Trump made a speech 2 days ago at a UN conference. It is a wonderful speech. Even Jack Chow liked it so much. And I read it twice, and I believe that I go with him. I support his concept. And I have the Chinese translation version of Chinese translation here. So I believe that the world likes it. And I did a little survey among my friends. About 95% of my friends, be they on the left, be they on the right, they support it.
You know, at the start of his administration, he's not very presidential. He's getting pretty presidential. You know, he's acting with dignity.
Yeah, he's getting there.
He really is.
All right,
well.
Let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we will continue finding about his terrorist speech. Speech for the terrorist part, international terrorism part.
Right.
Also to include North Korea. Please stay with us. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West with the G&E TV. My friend Ken Hamming is joining me today. He is a trustworthy friend I take for life, and he's a writer himself. His book, Life is Simple, 100 Words to Live By, is my Bible, and stays next to my pillow. I read it.
Me too.
every time. Not in the bathroom, all right?
Yeah.
Not in the bathroom, right? And today we're talking about the speech made by Donald Trump at the UN conference, and he made quite a few points for the 45 minutes straight up with applauses after applauses. I believe people start to hear what the United States have to say, and I believe they understood the message. Right?
I believe so.
Speaking of the message that delivered, what message has he delivered to North Korea, to Kim Jong-un?
Right. Well, one of the messages is now the leader of North Korea is pretty well known as Rocket Man, okay? Because he keeps shooting off, and Elton John had a great song, Rocket Man. But anyway, and could have been Missile Man, but now it's Rocket Man. But you know, he just said that we don't want to have military conflict. But if you're going to, in the last week, they have shot missiles over the mainland of Japan. Now, if it went over the mainland of Pasadena here, we'd be pretty worried, right? Now, the Japanese, of course they're worried. But they go, everybody is too complacent that, well, nobody died yet. So what do? You have to wait till they die, till you take action. So we hope, you know, I don't have much hope really for North Korea. Now, the greatest hope we have, there's new sanctions which heavily involve Chinese banks. And we'll see what happens there, okay? If the Chinese banks do stop doing business with North Korea will just shrink into almost nothing. And so we have to hope for that, okay?
And yet you have to consider about the people, the average people, North Korean people.
You don't consider them in advance over
our
own sovereignty and security.
There is always a balance of doing the right thing and the consequences.
But the leader there in North Korea doesn't consider his people. There's really so many starving every day.
That's their problem.
Regular
That's why. How much do you think if we put on the likelihood scale though, from 0 to 100? How many percent do you think it is possible that we, United States, would attack North Korea?
We won't attack militarily. We will not attack them, but we will retaliate in a nanosecond if they in any way show aggression to Guam or the United States of America. We are ready and willing and able to respond in a second, but we will not if it, you know, unless that happens, we will not just do a preemptive strike. Now, I think we might have to do it in Iran.
The reason I'm asking is that not only during his campaign, but also during his early days after taking office, common was that a president easily get upset. For a president that easily got upset, people start to feel the worry about the buttons being pushed at the wrong time.
Okay.
Something like that.
That's
now to quote from you, he's getting into it. He is more presidential than the early days. So do you think he thinks about his presidency and the power in his presidency more sophisticatedly?
No. I think those comments about, you can't give Trump a trigger for nuclear whatever. By the way, if we do action with North Korea, it won't be nuclear. It'll be normal military things.
Could
like
be something else, right?
It won't be nuclear because we're not going to. You don't want to.
All right.
You know, remember this, okay? We got 300 million people, whatever. They've got 22 million, 1.4 million in their army. People are starving every day, but almost everyone there has been brainwashed since the date of birth in terms of the godliness of their leader, okay? And so they absolutely blindly follow him, all right, and worship him. So it won't be nuclear. People that say that, they're just insane, and then all those people that were just his enemies and still are in America, they're just going to say nasty and stupid things. And President Trump is not stupid.
And he
is very wise.
There are comments there are comments on the social network after the speech, though. Lots of people say that they have friends in the U.S. military.
Okay.
They say the high levels are getting ready any minute. And
you better be ready.
Yeah, they say that they are ready at any minute. They don't need to do anything. Just a word go would create
they're ready. It's
will
strength
activate the whole thing.
through power. We have strength. We are rebuilding our military. Our military was disassembled by in the last 8 years. Okay,
Oh, he did mention about the money.
700 million.
Yeah, 700 million going
into strengthening our military.
Yeah. To the military. Yes.
And the strong military is the greatest assurance for peace, because if you look weak, people think they can beat you. If you look strong, they're going to take another minute to think about it. So, I want to be strong. And yes, they're prepared. We will not just do it. But if he does, I can't even understand how this gentleman thinks over in North Korea. I can't even understand how foolish he is, because it's a nothing country. It has no economy. It can't self-sustain itself. It can't sustain itself. And I don't know, his grandfather and his father, and now him, each one seems to get a little more unrealistic about their power and what they can do. He says he could just blow up America.
However, the U.S. media still call him the kid.
Well, that's naive. I think he's 27 or 30, something like that. But he's got
naive.
But he's got power.
But the label kid might get us overlook something.
Our administration will not overlook anything. Maybe people that listen to certain types of media propaganda may be misled by that. He ain't no kid. And why would he want to die? Because he's automatically dead if he does anything aggressive to us.
How do you think about Donald Trump's comment to Iranian situation?
I love it. I think he called the Iran deal an embarrassment to our country. And I'm sure Obama heard that and didn't like it. But it is an embarrassment. We didn't even have anything in that agreement limiting their development of intercontinental ballistic missiles. Nothing. So they're doing that as fast as they can. And then what's happening that we don't know, but Iran, the Ukraine, North Korea, that have nuclear capabilities, they're helping each other. And Iran can do nuclear tests right there in North Korea and pretend it's North Korea, even though they're the primary beneficiary. Which, of course, do you trust Iran? I don't trust them. You said you trust me. I honor that. I don't trust them. I don't trust North Korea. Trust is something that must be earned, not assumed.
Okay. Are we taking the same attitude towards Iran as much as we do to North Korea?
I think Iran is a far greater threat to the Middle East and to the world than North Korea.
Yes,
North Korea could do something and kill a bunch of people, and then they'll disappear. And I like Iranian people. They're fine. When we had the Shah over there, and I have a friend I work with right now from Iran, and he said, in the days of the Shah, it was prosperous. It's got a phenomenal culture. And then this Islamic regime took over, and they're shooting unarmed protesters. I mean, it's just a dictatorial thing based on an ideology which isn't compatible with freedom. So that's, in my opinion, that sums it up. So Iran is far looking. If you got, I don't know what you've got, 5 million in Israel, they're next door, and we just can't, all the way back to, for North Korea and Iran, you go back to Clinton and Bush and Obama. They've let it get this way, and President Trump won't let it continue.
We have spent,
I think,
so much money over the issues of Israel and the Palestinian conflicts, and in that area, anything goes versus Israel. So, do you think you're talking about sticking to Donald's principle, U.S. first, do you think we will reduce our support to Israel?
No, of course not.
Will not.
We can't.
Okay.
The left would, our left would. Obama did. I mean, he was more pro-Iran than he was pro-Israel. And Netanyahu, the leader of Israel, and Obama did not get along at all, not even close. And Netanyahu, if you looked at his face during Trump's speech, it was gloriously happy, shining with happiness. And and if you've got the Palestinian, whatever that is, that won't even acknowledge they exist and want to kill everybody there, which Iran and those people do, we will never diminish our support.
All right, very
6
good.
million got killed, Jewish people got killed in World War II, by one insane Adolf Hitler.
And how about U.S.-Russia?
Okay, after that speech, the ambassador to America from Russia, I forget how to say his name exactly, but said, you know, yeah, we both sides want to improve our relations, all right? And Putin, I don't know what, you know, Putin's a KGB, he's a spy dude, he's a torture guy, he loves to have pictures taken with his shirt off so he can show everybody what a man he is. I don't know why we in Russia can't get along better. I think we will, because they'll never recreate the Soviet Union. You've got Russia, but you don't have all these other countries that they controlled, okay? And we're happy to have greater prosperity. Russia's economy is weak.
Could that mean a signal of a U.S.-Russian relationship getting better or to go better?
I don't think it'll get any worse, and I do hope so. All it takes is Putin to go along with, let's be friends. That's all it takes. We have no imperialistic desires to have Russia in our 51st state or anything like that, okay?
All right. Okay, my dear friends, today with my friend Ken Hemming, we shared some thoughts on the presidential speech made at the UN conference. Let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we'll find out how the U.S.-China relationship would go from there on. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to the show. The allergy bothers me a lot, and I'm very sorry for that, but I'm trying, you know, right? I'm a guy, I will never give up work.
Right, you know, that's right.
All right, you know me. I have credit in that area. With me today is my good friend, Ken Hemming, a political commentator, book writer, and he's a good friend of mine. Sharing his thoughts about the UN speech made by President Donald Trump. We checked about 4 parts, talking about sovereignty, talking about security, talking about prosperity, talking about peace, world peace.
Yeah.
Speaking of world peace, you're talking about 3 nations, the strongest, the biggest nations on earth.
Right.
That is the United States, Russia, and China.
Yes, sir.
Right. And with the U.S. and the Russia relationship, if not going any worse, stay where we are, well, we were not enemies anyway, right?
Right, we're really not.
Okay. And how do you think this speech will highlight the U.S.-China relationship?
It will all depend. China has the power. You know, I love China. I love the Chinese people, okay?
Of course I do too.
Yeah, of course. But I do. And, you know, I've been there. I love it. I love it, you know, all the aspects of the people of China. It's up to the government, because the government has the power to control the leader of North Korea. They have the power to do that.
I don't think so. I don't think the guy listens anymore.
No, I agree with that. However,
his father or grandfather maybe, but this guy, he is totally out of mind. He's totally out of, okay, then he doesn't play with a deck of cards. He plays a deck and a half sometimes.
Right.
Or half deck.
But if you stop trading with them, they are not self-sufficient. And when people just start dying, which they're doing now, they just start dying of starvation at a greater rate, the people might sometime get upset with the leadership of North Korea and do something about that. We hope. But if we keep you know, certain countries keep doing business with North Korea and facilitating their aggressiveness.
Not necessarily disagree with you.
Okay.
But it might be a different thought.
Yes, sir.
Remember, after we bombed Japan, right? We got a criticism about the casualties of civilians. Of the Korean people, of the Japan people,
yeah, right.
Okay, of course there is always different take about it. When it was necessary, let's do it, and that ended the war.
That's right. And
right?
It saved millions of lives.
Saved millions of lives.
Did.
If somebody had to die for the lives of millions,
right.
Well, those are the ones. Unfortunately, we're sorry for that kind of thing.
Right.
Yet, criticism is, after all, a criticism. For that,
it's just an opinion.
For
it's
that,
worthless.
I mean, different opinion.
Yeah.
For China to remain or to maintain some kind of trade connections to keep the people alive, that might be a tactic.
But I
That
think
might be a tactic.
it might be a tactic, but it's a wrong tactic if it allows the regime to continue growing and seeking nuclear stuff. If you allow them
not
to,
that much, because the textile industry takes about 95% of their income. When the textile export is stopped,
right?
and the coal is not a major line, and that will keep the coal miners, their families, a piece of bread to continue living. So that probably should be an overall thinking. After all, of course, I'm not defending China, and you're not criticizing China. We're talking about
reality.
Yeah, the reality. In reality, we're talking about this guy is no longer listening to China.
Well, then China needs to make more noise. China has the power to make as much noise and to be as strong.
And China, as a matter of fact, is the one to make the noise, because if their nuclear explodes, right, and the nearest province is Jilin,
okay,
and then there is a volcano been there, sleeping there for several hundred years.
Don't wake it up.
Might be waking up.
Yeah, no, I know. Don't wake it up.
Right? So, and China do have the reason to press hard upon them.
But you have to press
hard
enough.
When we started, we were talking about humanitarianism, right? We're talking about from humanitarian point of view, there are livelihood to support at the bottom line to make those miners living.
Well, you know, our previous administration in our country wanted to fire every miner working in America, coal miner. Hillary said, there'll be no more coal miners. We'll retrain you to do something else.
Oh, that's a lie.
No, but that's what she said.
Yeah, I know, but that's not true. That's not true. Yeah.
Well, she meant it. She did mean it. Yeah. And now we revive coal mining here. But the whole deal is, I mean, why China's got a border with North Korea. China is an unbelievably powerful country. Why aren't the leaders of China flying to Pyongyang, whatever, in North Korea, and talking man to man to them, say, this has got to stop, or you're going to just be out of business. We'll take you out of your regime. They can say it.
I don't know if they're safe, if they're there.
Well, I'd like to invite them to come to Washington, D.C.
No, they might get assassinated. Come on.
Well,
you never know. Those guys are not playing by the rules.
I know that, yeah.
And nobody dares to go there and negotiate with them. They might get your head chopped off.
Well, but China's got power.
Now you're talking about, China does have power. Yeah. Let's just open our mind to think in a broader sense. There might be a way out that we do not know yet.
See, now, the problem with the show today is you haven't had one major thing to disagree with me about, so I'm going to give you one right now. I am willing to pay more for what I need to buy to sustain my life if we have to stop trading with China to get them to take the firm enough action to avoid a nuclear North Korea. And that's kind of what it boils down to. I'm willing to do that. Okay, because they say, well, it'll hurt America if we don't trade with China. And, we'll take the pain.
Yeah, of course. We're talking about China may have their own tactic in dealing with. Of course, China may say, hey, what is the benefit to us first? We want to put we the people first, China first.
Well, if
U.S. do U.S. first.
But
right?
if China's government believes,
in comparison, if they chose that the way to do. To keep the bottom line, the very poor people at the bottom line alive.
Do you believe China's government thinks it's better for the Chinese people if North Korea has nuclear weapons next door?
Of course not.
So then it's not for the benefit of the
China is never supportive. China is never supportive to them for their nuclear program. China is on the same boat with us. Only people doing.
Then row your boat.
They are adopting different tactics.
President Trump is rowing the boat right now. We need another oar.
And he calls upon almost every nation to think if they can't do anything, at least to think about a nuclear-equipped North Korea would mean. what would that mean to the rest of the world?
Well, what I think it would mean to the rest of the world, Jack, is that North Korea will soon then not exist, because they'll do something that will be pretty egregious and obnoxious. And you can wipe North Korea out, because there's only one city to take out and the whole thing's gone.
I understand. Yeah. Comparatively, between North Korea and Iran, who is closer to the success of nuclear weapon?
Well, with my thought too that they may be working together, okay, with the Ukraine and other countries. I don't know, but I believe at one point in time it will be necessary to tear up the Iranian agreement and probably to protect Israel and ourselves and all of the Middle East countries. Because Iran doesn't like, I mean, they don't get along with Saudi Arabia or anything. They're not friends.
That exactly answers the question, the concern. North Korea is not alone.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
That is the concern.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
There might be something like even, 4/5 underwater.
Right.
Right.
Good point.
Who are underwater, we do not even know.
Well spoken.
For example, Russia.
Yes.
You never know.
No, you don't.
Right? You never know.
Yeah.
So, like China, what China is doing to keep it at a stage for a little bit, to look around to see who else is involved, might not be a bad thing. And after all, you have Trump on the front door, yelling as much as he could, which is beneficial to the world.
I believe so.
And you have China at the tail, watching the situation. North Korea is never alone. I know that. Right. And I know that.
Because they can't be. They can't exist
they can't
alone.
be that strong.
Yeah.
They can't be that strong if they do not have somebody back them up or whatever. Right. So there must be someone.
There's others.
Right. Let's watch.
Yeah.
After all, our President Donald Trump made an excellent speech that I like very much. And I did it twice. I read this thing, and also I read this Chinese version. Oh, by the way, the Chinese version is good translation.
That's good.
Right. And I surveyed with my friends on my social network, finding 90%, 95% of them in support of Donald Trump. So, like I said, with Donald Trump internationally, with Donald Trump at the front door yelling, with China at the back end, looking around, if there's anything missing, together probably they will do something.
Yeah, and I'm also proud of our First Lady, Melania Trump, who was involved in some meetings at the United Nations.
Oh, yeah, she was doing the ladies.
And she's doing, that's right. And I'll tell you, I'm proud of her.
All right, very
5
good.
languages, holy cow.
All right, my God. All right, again. Anyway, so thank you, my dear friend, for watching, and to my friend Ken, thank you for sharing.
Great show.
And it's the one with the very few shows that you and I don't fight.
Wait till next week.
Okay. We'll do that.